Good morning and welcome to Shifting Your Business Online. My pleasure to bring up our partner from City of Chicago, Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, Elisa. Good morning.
Good morning. All right, so good morning, everyone. Like Andrew said, my name is Elisa Slidzinska, and I work for the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. And I want to welcome everyone to the BCP Business Education Workshop Webinar Series. On behalf of our Commissioner, Rosa Escarino, I want to inform you that we are still open for business. We are processing business licenses online, and you could visit chicagobusinessdirect.org to get more information on how to renew or apply for a business license. We know that this is a difficult time for all Chicagoans, and we want you to know that we are here for you. We've adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. And if you are part of the Business Startup Certificate Program, you will get credit for joining this webinar through the registration list. If you have any questions about the certificate program, you could send us an email at bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org, and I will share that email in the chat box as well. BCP did create a website with resource information for businesses, consumers, and employees impacted by COVID-19. And that website is chicago.gov/BACP COVID-19. So for today's webinar, the presentation will be about shifting your business to online. And our presenters today are from World Business Chicago, ChiBizHub, 37 Oaks Consulting, and MS Spark. And I pass it over to you guys.
Thank you so much, Eliza. We definitely appreciate the introduction. So my name is Kendra Thomas, and I am one of the business resource managers for ChiBizHub. So just to give you a little background about ChiBizHub, ChiBizHub is an initiative of World Business Chicago, and ChiBizHub is dedicated to providing resources for entrepreneurs and small businesses to start, scale, and grow their business in Chicago. We help to grow the entrepreneur community of Chicago through our resource provider network. So currently we have 163 resource providers that are on our hub. And the resource provider network consists of non-for-profit organizations, governments, educational, as well as small business lending companies that are available. So we're committed to providing our business community with resources to help their businesses thrive. As a part of this, since we've seen the pandemic happen, starting March 21st, ChiBizHub launched a COVID-19 resource page. And to access the resource page, you can visit chibizhub.com/COVID-19 support. So if you visit the resource page, there you will be able to find updated resources and information to help your businesses through this time, just weathering the storm. So the page is frequently updated with valuable information on resources, programs, grants, and more. Please take the time to visit our website. Again, you can go to www.chibizhub.com. At the top of the page, you will find the COVID-19 resource page. Now, in addition to that, we do want to ensure that our business community and our resource providers are able to stay connected with us. So if you have not had the chance to sign up for our newsletter, you can do so on our website. And you can also follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, as well as Instagram. So today I have the great pleasure of being the moderator for such a wonderful cast that we have here. So I want to, first of all, just go over some housekeeping items and just walk you through our agenda so that you're aware of what you'll be seeing during the webinar. So after I complete my portion of the presentation, I will then turn it over to Ms. Taran Smith, who is the founder and CEO of 37 Oaks. After that, we will have Mr. Lester McCarroll Jr. from MS Bark, and he's going to assist us in letting us know what are some tools and resources that can help you during this time for your entrepreneurs and business owners that are actually looking to shift your business online. After that, we will have a brief Q&A session, and then we will definitely turn it over to our team to just let them say thank you, and then from there, we will close the presentation. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ms. Taran Smith. Taran is the, again, president and CEO of 37 Oaks. She has been a great partner with ChiBizHub, and she's doing some phenomenal things with our business community during the pandemic. And she will have Ms. Kendi Amani, who will be one of the presenters with her today as well during this webinar, and really talking about the experience on how you can shift your business online. So thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really excited about this topic today. I'll just start off just very high level on what 37 Oaks is. And like I said, before I do, I just really want to thank the collaboration and the partnership and even the leadership of BACP, World Business Chicago, ChiBizHub, MS Bark, and Kendi Amani, because we all came together and just knew how important this topic is. So I'm just excited that we're all just going to be able to really deliver some good information today. So 37 Oaks, we are a commerce consulting company, and our sole focus is on educating and preparing our small businesses and entrepreneurs for diverse growth. So if we have learned nothing else from this COVID-19 pandemic, what we know is that we have to diversify as small businesses, because if we're too focused on one particular channel, if something like this comes up, then we may not be able to connect with our customers and sell. So this is really what we love doing, is talking about and educating and preparing our businesses to grow through e-commerce, through wholesale, through storefront businesses, and even mobile commerce, which we consider pop-ups and food trucks. So Kendi, I guess I'll let you kind of tell your part, and then we'll get into the questions. You're on mute.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me. This is such a pleasure to be a part of. I thank you all for the work that you're doing in the community to keep entrepreneurs like me motivated and putting out great content so that we can be educating ourselves in this time. So thank you guys, and keep it up. My name is Kendi Amani. I run Kendi Amani, which is a fashion accessory brand here in the city of Chicago. I've been in business for just over 2 years, about 2.5 years. And my hope today is that I can just share my story and help anybody else out who's along their path of trying to figure out what to do with their, as they pivot to e-commerce. So thanks for having me.
Okay, wonderful. I'm glad you were able to join us today. So I'm just going to kind of lay the foundation a little bit before we jump into the questions. So as we know, we all started off 2020, and we had business plans, we had business strategies. We said we're gonna grow our online business, we're gonna do pop-up shops, or open a storefront, or get into these big box retailers. And then when COVID-19 hit around March, a lot of our strategies have shifted. So many of the businesses that we work with at 37 Oaks, they were mostly focused on selling their products in physical locations. So when you think about that, that makes sense, because about 85% of total retail sales are done in physical locations. So that's in like storefronts or festivals and markets and pop-ups. But then we're also seeing the 15% that's happening in e-commerce. So now, obviously, considering the tone of everything that's going on, customers are now more focused on buying online because that's the only option that they have. So what we're seeing is a lot of our businesses, they now have to pivot online, but they don't have the luxury of having the learning curve of taking months to research and ask questions and take a lot of courses. We kind of need to get to the nitty-gritty right now so that we can stop the bleeding and then continue to grow online. So, Kendi, I guess I'll start off with the first question is, the e-commerce market is projected to be about $4 trillion worldwide. That's huge. And as we said, that's about 15%, but it's also expected to grow about 20% this year, and it's probably going to do more than that considering this scenario. So can you tell us how you got started on your e-commerce business? Just what made you decide to start off with e-commerce and grow your business there first?
Well, Trent, I mean, it's exactly what you just said. I had a different plan and vision initially for my business. Being that I live in the city of Chicago, I realized I have a lot of opportunity right here, in being able to connect with a very large population. So I focused a lot of my energy in doing pop-ups, and I did a lot of live in-person events, all kinds of things. I was at galas, I was at festivals, I was at neighborhood markets. It was fantastic. I was getting to connect with the customer. I was really able to figure out as I was starting my business, you know, who the real customer is, check out my price points. It was fantastic. And I did have a website in that time, and I put a little bit of energy towards it. And my hope was, you know, when I have more time, I'm going to build that out. But I was really heavily focused on the live events, and because there are quite a number here in the city, and there's enough to keep you quite busy. So that's what I was doing. And now that things have changed, I find myself, like many entrepreneurs and my fellow vendors, shifting and wanting to put more energy into our e-commerce aspects of our business.
So when you realized that you had to focus your business more online, what's the first thing that you did? Did you research anything in particular? Did you talk to anyone in particular? Did you go to a place to find information? But what did you do first, and how did you learn how to do that?
So I was one of those people who thought, if I just build the website and it looks amazing, people are just going to flock to it. It's going to be the best thing.
Right.
You know, and I thought, wow, you know what? It's so cheap to build a website. I initially launched on a platform that was like $10 a month.
Right.
And I thought, oh, this is easy. Like I didn't realize the real value of and what I was doing. And I was actively, I thought, learning and educating myself on what it took to build a website, to have a web presence.
Mm-hmm.
And in conversations that were way above me, I started hearing certain terminology and phrases, and it was really overwhelming. But what I realized was there's a huge difference between what I'm doing and what the pros are doing. How do I get there? How do I get to, what are they talking about conversion rates? What are they talking about, you know, funnels? So it was hard. As a solopreneur, you know, I'm trying to run a business and figure things out, but I'm also seeing that I'm missing the mark here with having a web presence, and I need to do more there.
So you started hearing that, number one, and seeing that customers were shifting online. So that was the first thing, because you have to go where your customers are going. That 85% that we're seeing in physical stores was no longer. So you had to kind of follow them. And then you started hearing what, call it the benchmarks were doing. So the bigger guys, you're starting to hear that they're growing in sales, they're growing in profits, people are buying that. And you're like, well, how do I kind of fill in the gaps? So when you started doing the research to answer that question, where did you go to find that information, to find those solutions?
So I got very active in getting involved in like different programs online, I went to a conference actually, and I just realized, wow, there's a whole other world here, what people are doing. And the information is not getting to the very small businesses that need it. So we're busy spinning our wheels, throwing up websites and wondering where the business is. We're putting a lot of money in social media spend and we're not seeing results. So there are a lot of disconnects. So what I found is I have to step my game up. I have to get more serious about putting real energy, time, and money into building my own website. And also, I learned that there are other platforms I could be on, that you don't have to spend a lot of money. So I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but what I did was I just YouTube, Google, and attended business conferences. There are business groups on Facebook that are legit, where people are talking about these things. But I think if you pick up the keywords, it'll get you started on that, figuring out the pieces of the puzzle that you need to figure out.
And I think it's important to emphasize what you mentioned about that this wasn't a build it, they will come model. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we see is a lot of the business owners will get a Shopify site, for example, or a Wix e-commerce site and put their products up there, like you said, boost a few ads and kind of wait and hope that people will come. So one of the biggest aspects to combat that, of course, is marketing, right? Because, and there's a lot of key things that we'll probably talk through as we go through this that make an e-commerce site effective. But when you're first shifting online, after you build the site, then you have to think about marketing. So marketing is very broad. There's so many different parts and pieces to it, but let's talk about social media. So one of the things that we know about social media, there was a statistics, I think it was at least, this is through BigCommerce, about 32% of e-commerce businesses do, or e-commerce businesses do 32% better if they have a social media handle or account that's affiliated with their brand. So with that being said, talk to us how social media has impacted the sales of your e-commerce site.
For me, it hasn't really influenced my e-commerce business tremendously. It has had some impact. But the reason why is I started out, like many vendors here in Chicago, just doing a lot of live in-person events. And the benefit of that was I was able to directly get people's email addresses. So they would sign up right then and there with me. And then I built a really good email list, and I still have that. And that's how I'm able to stay, top of mind. But for me, social media is there, and the marketing efforts I'm doing are there to get those emails so that I can eventually get them into my database and email those people directly. So kind of like on the reverse. And I think that's how a lot of, small businesses like mine are, where we were collecting those emails and we were building, our tribe. But now I am having to put more energy and effort into my social media presence. So I scrapped everything and started afresh. It was very challenging to build a proper, social media presence that is engaging, that reflects the brand, that it's a lot. It takes a lot. So I am trying to get to that level because I realize the importance, and I see that I have to pivot. Right now, I can't do the in-person event. So how do I continue to get emails? And
that was going to be the next question. Yeah. So of course, when you have an email address, one of the tips that we offer now, especially in this current time, is that you focus on your VIP customers, right? Can you try to get them to buy more? Because the amount of money that you spend to acquire new customers right now may not be the best return on your investment. So focus on those key customers. So if you have their email addresses, that's great. But you also want to get to new customers. So if your focus has been on email, how is it that you have been getting new email addresses if you're not able to physically be in front of them at pop-up shops or festivals?
Yeah. So and I was having a conversation with a lot of vendors, and we were just sharing tips, and we are getting extremely creative in how we're doing it. We're joining groups where we're visible, where we have an opportunity to speak to potential, customers. We're doing just a lot of different online activities, these kind of conversations. We're doing different projects, volunteering, and the emails are coming in. On my website, I also have a page where someone could just submit their email just to stay in touch. And that actually has been effective. People do want to see what you're doing, what's going on, what's next. So I would say that I've tried to diversify what I'm doing to bring in more fresh new clients, but I definitely have a lot of work to do there. And something I've learned, and we'll probably talk about this more in a few minutes, is how the bigger brands are doing it, and some of the more really strategic ways to bring in a large influx of people to your website. So I'll save that for later, but
well, you know what? Since you touched on it, let's go with it. We're going to just roll with it because now you have everyone at the edge of their seats trying to figure out how to get more people. So let us know. Tell us.
I think a lot of people are like me. You're just kind of doing what you think you're supposed to be doing, and then you realize you see someone else with a similar brand seemingly killing it, and you're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? So I've learned a lot about, and I'm still in the process of learning about building sales funnels. And that is huge. I don't know, has anybody ever heard of a sales funnel? Some people, a lot of people have never heard of what a sales funnel is. I had it, and it seems complex. I know at first I was like, what? But really it's just a strategy to help build leads and really target people who are very interested in whatever it is you have to offer. If it's a physical product, if it's a online course you're offering, think about like when you're on Instagram scrolling and there's somebody there like trying to sell you a course. Watch their process, and that will give you an example of what a funnel is. They give you 2 minutes of something exciting. They tell you how they can teach you how to do this thing that they already know you're going to be interested in because they're using social media targeted marketing to get to you. So you click and then it says, oh, we're going to teach you or show you how to do this. And then there's a page, you put in your email, you sign up for a webinar, or you keep going.
Right.
And there's a process, and the end goal is to get you to what they want, whether it's buy a product, buy a service. And that is a huge game changer, because if you just build it and think that, well, I'll just keep promoting on social media, you're missing the mark, you're wasting time. This is what I've done, wasted a lot of time because I didn't know better.
And I think that this is a really important topic because, as I mentioned, with 37 Oaks, we work with a bunch of small businesses and entrepreneurs, most of them in Chicagoland, but also all over the country. So in our consultations, we're starting to see trends of questions. And that's why when we do courses and things like that, we tend to go on those topics that people ask about. And one of the other statistics, and I like market data because it's very objective, is that when it comes to conversion rates on a website or on your e-commerce site, the conversion on e-commerce sites is about 2.9%, which means that if you get 34 people to visit your site, and if you're doing it right, then one of those 34 people are going to buy something.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the other part to mention is that when you are marketing, it's not just about driving awareness. There's a funnel there, right? So a lot of the boosts and ads that we do on Facebook when we're boosting them, it's driving awareness, but there's other parts of that funnel. So after they get awareness of your product, then they have to get the interest in it. Then they have to make a decision to buy, and then they actually have to buy. So I think one of the opportunities, and you could elaborate on this from you, is when you start driving the traffic to your site, that's great. But you have to be strategic in pushing them through the funnel on those other sides so that they get to the action.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where it really, I think it's like the best time ever to have, to jump into e-commerce, to build a website, because the difficult parts as far as like how you assemble these things has really been taken over by these big shopping platforms, we'll call them that. There's Shopify, Wix, and they have created so many tools that can help a solopreneur do this on their own. So before you have to hire so many people to help you with everything, every step of the way. Now, I'm just going to use an example because this is the service I use, Shopify. So with Shopify, I'm able to use like an email service that integrates with everything I already have. So I'm not recreating any content. I'm just going, let's use that image. Here's a sample text that they've already put together. And somebody with a very intermediate or beginner level of tech, let's call it design skills, can create beautiful, meaningful, provoking email content that will do whatever it is they want in that point. So all of this can also be automated. So you're not having to constantly put together the plan. You just have a plan where when someone comes to my website, they sign up, they get this email. Through Facebook, they get this email.
That's awesome.
2 weeks later or a week later, they get this email. Then after that, they get this. So you can automate it. So you can spend time doing a lot of other activities that you have to do right now. So I'm a huge advocate of using tools like that they're kind of like your employees in a way.
Exactly. And that's,
you should definitely take advantage. Yeah.
And that's important. And one of the things that I've seen, especially with small businesses, is that initially when you're pivoting online, especially during this time, you may not have all the time to research the tools that integrate with each other. And maybe even your budget may not allow you to, because certain tools out there, you kind of have to upgrade to get certain features. So if you're not able at this very moment to get the type of tool that you want, or to get the integration with everything to save you time, that's okay. But just know, to Kenny's point, that eventually as you're growing the business, especially if you're a solopreneur, you want to have systems that talk to each other, because it saves so much time, profits, and helps you grow your sales. So there's a lot of benefits on the back end to that integration. But before we get into the tools a little bit, I want to kind of bridge the gap with marketing to operations. So when you said you started off your business and you've been doing a lot of pop-up shops and markets and festivals.
Yeah.
So when you're selling your product in front of people, there's a certain experience that you were delivering, right? There's a certain vibe or brand that you're communicating. But when you're selling online, that kind of has to change a little bit. So could you tell us what the biggest difference is that you've seen with selling in person versus online?
Yes. So in person, I was able to connect with people, talk to them, style them. I put the jewelry on, we talk about it. I have the mirror. Like, we were having a great time, and people connected to that, and it's reflected in the sales. But then when I look at my e-commerce, it's like dead and boring. There's just pictures, and it's not coming to life the same way. So I'm
Right.
constantly trying to figure out, how do I put myself online? How do I really bring the brand to life? And that is a very challenging thing. And this is where I think I have two options. I can quit, or I can figure it out. That's it. You just got to
Right.
figure it out. And I tell you, other people are doing it. So don't quit. It's really not an option. You just have to figure it out. You have to find people who are successfully able to translate their brand. Like, I have vendor friends who have candles. So in person, you can smell the candles, and it's, wow, you're blown away. You want to buy it. And they tell you the story of the candle and how they made it. And they're using the special wax and all the crystals, all those different things that bring it to life. But online, it doesn't translate when you just put a static picture. So we're all trying to figure out, how do we infuse ourselves and create the story and create a lot of that same experience online?
And I think it's really important to not only emphasize that, but to really focus that selling in person and selling online are different. So you do have to adjust your perspective, your strategies, your tactics in order to do so, especially if you have newer customers, because newer customers aren't able to connect with you and know Kendi, and you can't build that credibility the same way offline as you do online. So it's really important to make sure that you put some sort of strategy and approach to how you want to deliver that online. Do you have any examples of how you've built your credibility online, especially with new customers? Your existing customers, they know you, but the new customers?
Yeah. So building credibility, I think there's two ways that I look at it. There's one, there are people that aren't going to see your social media. They're just looking online, Google search, boom, African jewelry. Okay, I like what I see. They want to see certain certificates on your website. Is it a trusted website? Can I put my credit card information here? So there's that side that is really important, because if it looks off, they're gone. And things that look off could be even just if it's not professional. If, it's not, there's a lot of mistakes. It's just little things like that send a message subconsciously that maybe they can't trust this site. And people are gone very quickly. You only have a couple of seconds. I think it's less than 2 seconds to get someone's attention, and it's also that quick to lose their attention. So there's that aspect, but then there's the other aspect where you can use social media to build credibility and trust. So what I've been doing is finding brands that I can partner with that will give me that, because they can say, hey, like, for example, I'm very fortunate that I am a part of the Essence family and the Shop Essence platform, which is a fantastic platform for Black women, and they're doing it. We're doing it. We're having a good time. And this gives me a lot of credibility. Instantly, when people see that I'm on such a platform, it's building trust. It's building credibility. They're like, okay, if Essence has vetted her, I think we're good. I'll be in time, And then also just that customer service. For example, you nail it with one customer, they talk about you to 10 other people. They put you on their social media.
Right.
There's also people who are donating posts right now. Lots of celebrities, lots of people out there very willing to support small businesses, minority businesses, by putting you on their page for a day. And you can even just talk to people, say, hey, I would like to send you something. If you like it, please shout me out. Those are different ways that you can build trust. But I believe the key there is partnerships. Partner with credible sources. That's like the fastest way to build trust online. When people see you with trusted, brands and individuals, it really will help the brand.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I love this. I know we could probably talk about all of this for another 5 hours. But just to wrap up, I'm going to ask one question with two parts. So from an operational perspective, because, you know, we like to sell the product and we like to do the marketing and make sure our product is presented well online, but there's also a back end. And it's not the sexy part, but it's the part that's going to help us to really deliver that customer experience, to get our sales and to get our profits. So when you think about launching your business over that first, let's say 6 months of when you did launch your online business, what is the number one piece of advice that you would tell small business owners and entrepreneurs to do? And then what's the number one piece of advice that you would tell them not to do from an operational perspective?
Okay, the first thing I would say to do is just get online. Somehow, some way, you know, get in where you feel comfortable just to start. You know, I started on Etsy because I had handmade, you know, goods. And that's a free platform. I mean, I think you pay like a couple of cents per post, but it's essentially incredibly cheap without a lot of commitment. You can close your page at any point. So just get started, and that will start teaching you some very basic things. And they have metrics. So start looking at the metrics. Even if you're afraid of graphs and figures, just push yourself to start trying to understand what they're showing you about people who are visiting your page. What, you know, seems to be hot? What are the keywords? And then even if you're just on a site like Etsy, you know, use their tools that they're offering, because they have a lot of, you'll learn so much from that. For example, you can't just create an Etsy page and just like sit back.
Right.
There are keywords you really need to use in order for your product to pop up when people search, you know, sun hats. So learn, you know, how to be, to have the best presence possible on whatever platform you want to be on. When you're ready to start a website, you know, I started on a platform that was really like for artists. It didn't have a lot of integrations. It had a few things, but as I expanded and started doing more in-person events, I realized I was having to keep inventory. It was really hard.
Right.
I have inventory, right? It's all here in my place, but sometimes I'm selling on the weekends. Sometimes I'm buying from the website. How do I keep track without going crazy and spending hours recounting? So what I would advise, if you have merchandise, is get on a platform that allows you to do in-person events. So when things change and you decide, hey, I want to go out into the public and sell my goods, you're not creating more work for yourself. You're using
so it's flexible.
It's flexible. You can integrate it into sales, you know, through one POS, or, you know, like your payment processor. And everything's kind of in the same, under the same umbrella, so that you can see the metrics and you can see what you're doing out there on your website, on these other sites. I'll even tell you, the bigger brands are looking for that, you know. So if you have getting into these bigger opportunities, even Shop Essence, their back end integrates with my Shopify. So I really didn't have to pull all my products down and then upload them. It was just a simple click. And
so it's all kind of together, which is, that's amazing. And again, that's what's gonna save you time, money, and profit, and also deliver that customer experience. And then is there one point that you would recommend them not to do from an operational perspective?
Just, you know, just depends on the level someone is at. Just keep learning and keep trying. Get to a point and you're not seeing any results, it's okay. It just means you got to figure out what to do next. Make a tweak. Find someone you can talk to. If there's somebody you admire, talk to them, because we're all at different points in our journey. So I would just say, have some kind of online presence. That's
That's key. Just start. Just jump in and dive in head first and figure it out. You
can't make a mistake. Dive in. Can't use the internet. Dive in. There's so many free resources. ChiBizHub. Tarand has helped me tremendously over the years, even my in-person events. And the city of Chicago also has been a huge resource for me, because I go there and I watch the webinars. I go and when there used to be in-person events, I go to those meetings. So if you're in Chicago, if you're not in Chicago, there are a lot of resources that are free. So free is good.
Free is the word. Free is the word.
And they are very qualified and talented individuals that are able to really help you go to the next level. So again, we're all at different levels. get in where you fit in, and just grow. This time next year, you'll be shocked at how much further along you are.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Kendi. I really appreciate this. And I know we all do. I think you dropped some really good jewels and knowledge for a lot of the business owners and entrepreneurs. Now that we have this content, now that we have this information, now what do we do with it, right? So Lester McCarroll of MS Spark is going to kind of wrap this up and help us to understand how do we apply this information. Lester?
Good morning, everybody. I know that hearing Duran and Kendi talk about all of the things that you can consider when moving your business online might feel like drinking through the fire hose. There's so many issues around managing your business and the kind of metrics and data to monitor, selecting the products that you're going to put online, all of the marketing considerations, all of these things. There's a lot to consider, but we thought we would develop a very simple framework so that you could determine how to get started. And the two things I want you to remember with this, as you make this move to take your business online, you're not the first. And number two, you're not alone. So I'm going to talk you through the framework, all the decisions you need to make, and then we're going to talk about, point you to some resources that can help you make these decisions. I think there's the next slide that shows the framework. Can we put that up? There we go. I'm going to keep this very simple in how to shift your business to online. There's some key decisions to make to get you started. The first is, where am I going to build my online store? There's a lot of existing online marketplaces. Many of those have platforms and images and built-in e-commerce widgets and things of that nature. So you can select an existing online marketplace. Amazon Marketplace is one. Etsy was one of the things that Kendi mentioned. SaconistStore.com is an item that has an advantage of not only providing a lot of those hooks that the other web marketplaces provide, but also provides the training that best helps you leverage those. So you can select an existing online marketplace, or you can build your own. Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, or you can engage your own developer. And a lot of the considerations there are around your own budget, around how custom you want the experience to be. But really, in order to get started, you have to make that decision there. And sometimes it's best to use an existing online marketplace. So first is, where will I build my online store? The second decision you have to make is, which products am I going to move online first? Now, there are a number of considerations around this. You can consider, what do my target customers need these days? How have their needs changed and shifted with the current situation? So consider that. You might consider, what are the products that give me the kind of margins I need, right? What are my own revenue goals during this time? So there are a number of considerations to make to determine which products are you going to move online. The third piece you're going to consider is shipping. How am I going to get product to the buyer? Now that I'm not in a brick and mortar situation and I can't have somebody pay for it and me hand them the product, how am I going to get to the product to the buyer? Are they going to pick it up outside of my existing store? Or am I going to deliver it from a warehouse or some storage facility that I maintain? Or am I going to have it drop shipped? Drop shipped meaning that they order it, but instead of the manufacturer that I buy it from delivering it to me, they deliver it directly to my customer. So you're going to consider how you get the product to the buyer. You also need to determine how you're going to handle returns. It's a lot different than when you have a brick and mortar store where somebody can just bring you the product back, but you need to define a policy of how that's going to work and then develop the logistics for how they're going to return those products. And then, of course, affordability. What can I really afford as a budget for shipping, and how's that going to affect my price? So shipping is the third piece. And then finally, marketing. Both Turan and Kendi talked about the sales funnel. There's marketing for awareness. There's marketing to influence intent to buy. There's marketing to affect their buying decision, to convert that intent to buy to an actual purchase. So you have to determine how you're going to do that. You're going to do it through social media, other forms of digital marketing, email campaigns, or traditional advertising. Those types of mechanisms still work. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is, how do I get quality images that are compelling for my products online? Kendi mentioned candles and things of that nature, and how when you're in person, you can kind of really see the colors and smell the scents and things of that nature. Well, how do I take a picture of a hamburger or a candle so I can almost taste it, or I can almost smell it? Or how do I take pictures of fashion so the person can envision themselves wearing it? So those things are very important and shouldn't be underestimated. You can either engage a photographer or take them yourself. The key thing is to get started, but that's a decision that you have to make. And then finally, what can I afford for a marketing budget? You can spend as little as free 99 is always great, but in many cases you get what you pay for. And so a lot of it depends on the kind of products you have, the kind of experience that your customers are accustomed to, and how can you replicate that experience online, or how can you prevent a whole new experience that's even better? So those four things consider: what channel you're going to use, the products you're going to select, the shipping mechanisms, the marketing mechanisms you're going to use. There's a lot of other things to consider, but if you key in on those top four sets of decisions, that's a great way to get started. And again, some of the resources I have listed on this framework: there's 37 Oaks University, Turan's company, has a great e-commerce series that can help you learn and give you some information to help you make those decisions. There's ChiBizHub, your local MBDCs like MS Bark, Women's Business Development, or Chicago Urban League. There's a lot of resources that can help you make these decisions. So what I recommend is that you spend some time, fill out this framework, do some research yourself, or reach out to one of these resources to help you get started.
Thank you, Lester. I think that was really good. I think, we spent some time just kind of talking about that process of pivoting online and shifting online, and some things to consider and from Kendi's experience around marketing and operations and logistics and platforms and systems. And then you did a good job of wrapping that all into a framework that helps you get started. Because you're right, this process can be intimidating. It could feel like you're drinking from a water hose, but the framework that you laid out makes it simple for someone to understand, okay, this is where I just need to start. And to Kendi's point, the important thing is just to start. Things aren't going to be perfect the first time you put it out there. You're going to learn a lot, but at least you're starting, and the market's telling you which way to go versus you telling you which way to go. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I think we're ready for some questions, Kendra.
Yes, so thank you all. Thank you, Lester. Thank you, Kendi. Thank you, Turan. You guys have done a phenomenal job bringing your expertise to this webinar. If you are interested in learning more about Kendi's journey, Lester's journey, as well as Turan, if you all can please share where people can learn more about your story and learn more about your products and services that you offer as well.
Yeah. Sure.
Turan?
Sure. So 37 Oaks, you could follow us on Instagram and Facebook at 37 Oaks, but more important, our website. So as Lester mentioned, we have a whole 37 Oaks University where there's over 30 courses that help you understand retail, distribution, and commerce, whether it's through wholesale, e-commerce, storefront, mobile platforms, whatever the case is. So 37oaks.com, and then you can click on university and just see everything that we have to offer around education and learning.
Awesome. Kendi?
Yeah, so you can, I have been very fortunate to have been in the mix where I'm getting a lot of emails about all kinds of business resources. So if you would like to connect with me and just be a part of my email list where I'm sharing out where the grant money is, all the information coming out from all the sources that Lester mentioned, that Turan mentioned, you can email me at Kendi Amani. I think my name's gonna pop up in a second. Kendi Amani, AMANI @gmail.com. If you want to follow my fashion brand and kind of see what I'm doing, check out my website, give me tips, tell me what I'm doing right, wrong, shop. You can follow me at Kendi Amani. So Facebook is at Kendi Amani, Instagram is at Kendi Amani, and my website is Kendi Amani.
I was gonna guess that.
Connected, so connect me somehow. If I can't help you with business, maybe I can help you with some jewelry.
Ooh. Lester McCarroll Jr., can we have your information where people can actually contact you as well?
Yes, you can find all of my information at Kendi Amani. No, actually, you can reach us on Instagram at MSBarkChicago, Twitter at MSBarkChicago. You can get on our website and get on our mailing list. We have a newsletter that updates you on the things we're doing for our clients and some of the achievements of our clients. You can join that email list at our website, msbark.org.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining, and just want to definitely recognize Lester McCarroll Jr. from MS Spark. So MS Spark is a resource provider that is on ChiBizHub. So if you are on ChiBizHub and you're looking for a resource provider that will be able to assist you, MS Spark is doing a great job. We definitely want to give a shout out to the executive director, Philip Beckham. MS Spark does phenomenal events and they engage their business community. So thank you for being an active resource provider on ChiBizHub and always willing to partner with us. We really appreciate that.
That's what we do.
Thank you. So we have a few questions. Thank you for your patience. So we have a few questions that some of our actual clients or customers, some of your customers may want to know about. So one of the questions that we're seeing that are coming through here is, what are the most effective techniques and technology to operate your business during this challenging time? So during COVID-19, what is an effective technique and technology that a entrepreneur or business owner should be utilizing?
I think, at least from 37 Oaks perspective, what we're seeing is, and Kendi touched on this, our Shopify, and you know, we're not endorsing it per se, but Shopify is a very simple platform to get started, and it's very intuitive. It gives you designs and templates that you can tap into. But I think more important, to Kendi's point earlier, is that it allows you to integrate with other systems. So not only do you just want to get your business up and going online, but you want it to work. You want the operations to flow, and you don't want to spend too much time on it than you need to. So I know Shopify has worked. I know for like email campaigns, which Kendi talked about, there's like the Constant Contacts of the world, or the there's a few more out there, but really Constant Contact, Shopify. And then from a payments perspective, a lot of those e-commerce sites integrate with like a PayPal. Now, of course, you have to pay, and there's fees and things associated with it. So you're gonna have to balance out how much you pay versus the benefits you get and the integration of it. But those are definitely some platforms that we've seen have worked in terms of starting your business.
Yeah, let me add to that in terms of technology to keep the business going. I've seen a couple of companies. I'll give some examples. Companies like Kiwi's Boutique, who on the West Side, who uses IG Live to continue to model and display fashions that they have coming in, and letting people know that they're still open and operational. And you have companies like Sip and Savor, based in Bronzeville and Hyde Park, who continues to build and keep his community of people together through IG Live and other live broadcasts to let people know that Sip Nation is alive and well. So people are using those platforms to let folks know we're still here, we're still with you, we still want to stay connected with you, and we're trying to do some innovative things to continue to add value to your lives.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So we have another question that actually came through. So what are best practices for getting a web-based business developed? What is the most cost-effective option, and what is the best type of marketing business? Those are a few questions that came through.
I would say, considering now, if you just want it to be very simple and very economical, there's two ways to approach it. One, as I mentioned, what we call the direct-to-consumer e-commerce site. So whether that's the Shopify or the Wix or the Squarespace, because they tend to have different packages based on your budget, and it's simple because they're doing a lot of that design work for you. So I think that that's a good way to kind of get you started quickly and more affordably. But then on the other side, and Kendi alluded to this also, is that there are marketplaces out there where you don't even have to do any of this. So if you want to get your business online, you can go to an Amazon, or you could go to an Etsy or something where it's more about you posting your information opposed to running a lot of those back-end administrative things. So those are some quick ways just to get online, and not to underestimate the value of social media, because you can sell on Instagram, and that's, you know, you may not have all the bells and whistles on the background, but at least that's a platform to get you out there in the e-commerce world.
Okay. Kendi or Lester, do you guys have any thoughts or recommendations?
Can't top Taran.
I'll just add something to what Taran said. Basically, you know, right now, I think it's important to really, for vendors like me who are doing a lot of live in-person events, we were paying vendor fees, right? A lot of time to be at certain events, maybe $100 here, $200 there. Take that same money and invest it in your e-commerce. The same $200-300, you will be able to reach thousands of people if you have a strategy and you work with somebody that knows what they're doing. So really think about, instead, you know, because sometimes when we think about building out our e-commerce, we're like, oh, it's $30 for the page, it's $15 for this event, it's $20, and you're like, ah, it's a lot of money. But guess what? We're not doing in-person events. So let's shift that budget money onto our online presence, our e-commerce. Let's learn how to buy ads. And definitely there's so many free platforms that you can be on. One that I recommend, well, I'm not even on it because for other reasons, but there's one where Fair, FAIRE.com or Tundra.com. If you have products that are ready for resellers, this could be a good time for you to go ahead and get those products set up on those sites, so that people are still buying products for their built website. So you can still be a supplier to someone who's already got a very good clientele that's buying from their website on a regular basis. So you take perhaps your candles, you offer them on wholesale, and that could be a way that, you know, you're also growing your business. So you really have to just think outside of the box. And all I'll tell you is, as a person that loves technology, there is a tool for that. You just have to find it. So wherever you're at, you need help marketing, there's so many tools for that. You know, just spend time finding what makes sense for your specific type of business.
So here's a great question, and I know I go this question. It must be something that's speaking directly to my life. But how do you assist possible customers who are not computer literate? So I go through this a lot with my mom. She does not use the internet. I have to do a lot of her online shopping for her. So how do you approach that? Possible customers who are not computer literate during this time.
You know, the number one reason why customers shop online is because of convenience. So as I mentioned, 85% of sales are done in brick and mortar stores. And that's important because people are going there for a lot of reasons. Experience is one of them. Immediate gratification is another one. There's a lot of different reasons. But the reason why people are going online is because convenience. They're looking at that as an option that's going to make their life more simple and save them more time versus buying in the physical stores. I say that to say, and there's so much behind this. We talk so much about this in our courses, but that design of and that interface of your site are so critical. And if you don't design it for convenience, where someone who's not computer literate can go and navigate through it, then you're not designing it right. So my 8-year-old should be able to go to your site and understand what she would buy if she had a credit card, right? So that's the best recommendation I would say, is to really focus on your interface, focus on your design, and make it simple. Don't let it be overwhelming or complex, because people are not going to shop there.
Can I just add, like, you know, that's great. Maybe you want to work with some clients like that, but you really have to also think about your business, like how you're going to grow long term. And if you're spending a lot of energy focusing on people that are not tech savvy, you're missing a huge market of people who are ready to click the buy and know what to do. So always think about the time and energy that you're going to be putting in, because again, I'm really speaking to my solopreneurs, my very small businesses, that really we need to get some cash flowing, and time is money. So, you know, I could spend 2 hours trying to help someone click and buy, or I could spend that 2 hours going and doing another marketing activity to reach 5,000 people. But Tarand is absolutely right. At the end of the day, everything has to be built for like a 5-year-old to be able to just purchase what they're looking for easily.
Let me add one more thing to this, and this is a case where it really helps to know who your customer is. If your customer skews older, then they're more likely to be elderly and may not be as comfortable with technology. If your customer perhaps is in a demographic that may not have a computer or laptop at home, you know, there's a large percentage of people whose primary connection to the internet is through their smartphone. So you have to make sure that whatever web platform you choose and whatever experience you design is really nice on a mobile phone. And
Wow.
and that requires you to really understand your customer and who you're selling to.
And one last thing I'll just add to that is 91%, and I know I have all these statistics, but this is what we do. We teach it. So 91% of the US population is shopping online right now, 91% in some form or fashion. So it doesn't matter if you're shopping for targeting millennials or Gen X or baby boomers or cultural differences, gender differences, it doesn't matter, 91%. So your customer is online, but to Lester and to Kendi's point, you have to know who you're going after, but they're on there. So design your site so it's simple for anybody to use, because you have a broader market online than you do in the physical world. So got to tap into that.
Awesome. So guys, I really appreciate your time, your energy this morning. Thank you for being up with us and sharing all of these valuable tools and resources to our networks. We appreciate you. We look to partner with you all in the near future. Thank you to Chicago Business Affairs and Consumer Protection for shifting and allowing organizations like MS-BARC and 37 Oaks to continue to partner in ChiBizHub via web platforms now. So they're doing webinars on Wednesdays and Fridays. And we thank you again for joining. So that actually concludes our webinar. And we hope to definitely have you all again share your experience and your knowledge with us so that we can continue to help all of the business owners during this time, because we know it's very difficult. So again, thank you for joining. If you are online now, please ensure that you take a look at MS-BARC's page, or you can go to Kendi's great website, or take a look at Tarand's information as well. And then please don't forget to visit www.chibizhub.com. We will definitely continue to do more webinars that you want. So if you are on our social media page, if you're on our Facebook Live, please tell us what else you would like to see during this time. So thank you all for joining, and have a great rest of your day. Happy Friday, everybody.
Thank you.